Hey guys, Dwindling Elves here, and today I've got my first game using the new Dark Elf book. It's actually my first game using Dark Elves, period. So I bought the army when the new book came out, and I was playing High Elves for a while in the Escalation League, and I was really trying to figure out what type of list I wanted to play, and really think it out before I committed to models. And I've gone with an MSU very shooting avoid combat list, and the first game is going to be against Lizardmen at 2250. So I've gone obviously with Laura Shadow because it syncs well with the shooting. Dropping someone's toughness by D3 makes your strength 3 shots a lot more valuable. So I rolled up Miasma, Enfeebling, Withering, and Mind Razor, so those are the 4 spells I wanted. Although I guess Pit of Shades is pretty good in this type of game as well against Lizardmen. And my opponent has a level 4 of Light, and he's got Faw's Protection, Speed of Light, Light of Battle, and Barona's Time Warp. Alright, well here's a look at the board. So as for deployment, my opponent has 10 Skink Skirmishers with Javelins and Shields on the top left. Next to them, a Saurus with Hand Weapon Shield, 24 of them, full command. Then 20 Temple Guard with the Frenzy Banner, and they've got full command. And in there he's got the Slan, who's got the Standard of Discipline. And he's got the Channeling Staff, the ability to channel 3 dice, so he's channeling 3 dice on 5+ every turn, and the ability to reroll his first failed Dispel attempt each turn. Then he's got a Troglodon, another block of 24 Swords with Hand Weapon Shield, and they've got full command as well. Then he's got a Scarvet on the T-Rex, the name's blanking on me right now. 3 Ripperdactyls who have vanguarded forward, and then 10 Skink Skirmishers with Blowpipes. Then, so on my side, out of shot on the left, I've got my unit of 6 fast cav with shields and repeater crossbows. Then, next to them, I've got 6 shades with great weapons, and they also have repeater crossbows. I have a Medusa, who is in the left of the shot, and she's facing backwards because I don't need her to be frenzy baited out. 28 Blackguard with Banner Musician and the Standard of Discipline, so they're leadership 10. And in there, I've also got my BSB, who's got a 1-up rerollable armor save. Then a repeater crossbow, 2 units of 24 crossbows with full command, and they have shield as well. And then behind them, I've got my level 4 on a Dark Pegasus. Now, I've really kitted her out. She's like 360 points. So she's got the Dark Pegasus. Then I gave her the 3 ward save against magical and shooting attacks, and then I gave her a Dispel Scroll and Magic Resistance 1. So she's got a 3-up ward save against any shooting attacks, and a 2-up ward save against any magic. So she's pretty kitted out, and she's pretty invulnerable to, I don't want to say cannons, but most death spells and magic, but it doesn't really come into play this game. And then on my right side, I've got another repeater bolt thrower, then a unit of 8 shades, and they've just got crossbows. They don't have any upgrades. Then the 5 models there are my warlocks, so they're level 2, so they know Soul Blight and the magic missile. Then he's put his Frenzy Toad in that unit, so he gets an additional D3 attacks against that unit. So obviously I want to kill those Ripperdactyls right away. And then next to them I've got 6 shades with 2 hand weapons. So I get first turn, and I move up my fast cav and shades with great weapons to be within 24 inches of those skinks, so I can shoot them. I leave my Medusa as is, and my Blackguard stay put. The rest of my army stays put as well. And my magic phase does nothing, but in the shooting phase, I put all of my shooting, with the exception of one big bolt thrower, into the Ripperdactyls, and it kills them. So that was nice. And then my second bolt thrower shoots at the T-Rex, hits the Scarvet on top, and he fails his 4 board save, and I kill him in one go, but he passes his monster reaction test on leadership 5, surprisingly. I was really hoping that guy was going to be like unbreakable and just sit there for the rest of the game. We wouldn't have to worry about him, but that was not the case. And then on this flank, I kill 3 skinks. And they fail their panic test and almost run off the board. They're an inch away from the board. So Lizardman turn 1, he moves up. As you can see, what I really like is that my two distraction units on the left, so the fast cav and the shades, are drawing at one of his blocks, and they're not coming towards my blackguard, which is good. And his monsters move up relatively aggressively. They should be able to charge me turn 2. And so we have a swamp on his side of the board, so he didn't want to march into that and take dangerous terrain tests. And I should let you know, the swamp that is on my side of the board is actually a river of light. We rolled random terrain, and we didn't have any river pieces at the store, so we just used a big marsh and said, okay, that's the river of light. So it's actually a pond of light, so it's going to be casting light magic spells on everyone. Just to let you know, my crossbows go in it, and every time they go in it, I get net of Amatok, but I always pass my strength test, but it's just I never get any benefits from it. And then, so he moves his skinks up like that. He's going to try to shoot at my shades, but they need like 6s and 5s to hit, so I'm not really worried about that. In the magic phase, he gets the bubble version of Foz protection off, and I let Foz go through pretty much every turn, because I really didn't want him getting Barona's Time Warp and getting always strikes first up on me, and doubling his initiative and stuff, because that's really gonna hurt me, because I strike first and I need to do wounds to him first, because that'll save wounds coming back to me. So Foz will be going off pretty regularly during this game, but I manage not to make Barona's Time Warp go off at all during this game, which is good. So he's shooting to nothing, and Dark Elf turn 2. My shades decide to charge his skinks, and he flees because his stand and shoot again. He would have been hitting on like 6s and 5s, and if they do get into combat, I think these shades will eat the skinks. And so the rest of the movement, I back away with my other shades, just to be within 24 inches of the Troglodyte, because that's who I'm going to shoot. I move my fast cav, my warlocks up, which is good because I'm trying to get behind his army, so that's working for me. And then on this side, I stay within 24 inches of his Saurus block, and I'm hoping that he will charge his leftmost Saurus into my fast cav, at which point I'll just stand and shoot. If he makes it in, that's perfect, because those guys will probably have to overrun, and they'll be out of the game. I won't have to worry about them, and I can deal with the rest of his army. So plan here is just to keep shooting. And that's a look at the center of the board. So in the magic phase, I get a pretty decent magic phase off, and the first spell I cast is the Doom Bolt. So it's 2d6 strength 5 hits against the T-Rex, and he lets it go through, and I do like 11 hits, and I do a ton of wounds. He doesn't make many saves, and I just one-shot him, so that was really nice. But that means the shades on this side of the board really had nothing to shoot at, so they shoot at the skinks and take off 2 guys. And on this side of the board, between my 2 units, I end up shooting off 2 of his. Oh, and his skinks actually rallied too on his turn. So Lizardman turn 2. His Troglodon charges into my my right unit of 14 crossbowmen, and I stand and shoot, and I do 1 wound. He runs through the magical pond, and he gets Barona's Time Warp off on his Troglodon, which means that we're striking at the same time, and I no longer get to hit him. I no longer get a reroll, so that kind of sucks. Then his skinks rally, and he marches his other 2 blocks up. He marches over the pond and over the marsh and takes, I think, 3 or 4 wounds from dangerous terrain. And on this side, so he didn't take the bait. He's not going after my fast cav, and he's walking more towards my blackguard, which is a little bit of a concern. My blackguard will outfight one of his blocks one-on-one, but I don't need 2 blocks getting into my blackguard at the same time. And his skinks march up into the forest. And again, the magic phase, it gets Foz protection bubble off. Again, I wasn't too worried about the spell. I just didn't want Barona's Time Warp going off. And yeah, that Troglodon absolutely goes to town. He ends up killing 8 guys. The Skink Priest on top ended up killing 2 guys on his own. But I'm steadfast and I hold, and I do 1 wound to him, so he's down to 3 wounds. So Dark Elves turn 3. My Blackguard tried to charge his Temple Guard, but they fail. I think I needed a 7 and I rolled like a 5 or something. It wasn't a long charge, which is unfortunate because I think if I charged there, I might have been out of line of sight of the leftmost source block, but now all 3 of those blocks can see me. I move my Pegasus up to keep her out of harm's way, so behind his lines. And I don't have a picture of it, but my Shades and my my Warlocks on the right side move up closer to that source block, and they're going to keep peppering them. And on this side, I actually declared a charge with my fast cav into his skinks in the woods, and he killed 2 on the stand and shoot, and he kills 1 in combat. I kill 3 in combat. He's stubborn on a 5 because he's a skirmisher, but he does not hold, and I run him down. And then over here, this time he only does 2 wounds to me. So, and I do no wounds to him. I have a standard, he has 2 wounds. So I lose by 1. Now, having my general out of range really hurt me here because I'm on leadership 7 rerollable, and I rolled 8 twice. So these guys break. And he has predatory fighter, so he has to pursue me, and he pursues me off the board, which is actually really good, because otherwise he can't. Otherwise he could have charged my other unit of archers, but that didn't happen. And as you can see on the top, the source block there, on between my Shades, I killed another 5 guys from that unit. So Lizardman turn 3. He charges his left source block into the Medusa I put in front of them, so I didn't have a picture of it last turn, but I sacrificed the Medusa to make sure that that block couldn't get a flank charge into my Blackguard. He charges his Temple Guard into my Blackguard, you know, that's an easy charge, they make it. And he just moves his other source block up. He moves his Troglodon up behind my archer, so he's got a pretty good field of view. He should be able to charge the bolt thrower or the archers, or maybe even the Blackguard on his next turn. His magic phase is actually a bust. This is the phase that I knew I had to stop, and I used my Dispel Scroll to stop everything, so he didn't get anything through. As expected, my Medusa kills 2 guys, and his Saurus makes short work of the Medusa, but she served her role. I really don't think I played with her properly. I was really worried about her getting frenzy baited, and she barely shot anything. So I'm not sold on the Medusa yet, but for 90 points, it did save my Blackguard for 1 turn. Then in the center, holy crap. So I strike first, and I need 3s to hit, and I need 4s to wound, and I get to reroll 1s to wound, and I kill 8 guys, which I think is, you know, pretty solid. He has his attacks back, and remember, he has the Frenzy banner, but without any buffs, or weapon skill buffs, or extra attack buffs, he kills 13 of my guys, and now I'm really worried. That really surprised me. I did not think he was that killy, but I'm stubborn, leadership 10 rerollable, and I stick. So at least next turn, I've got a magic phase to maybe help me out. So Dark Elves turn 4. I keep moving my auxiliary units around, so my Shades walk within short distance of both blocks, and same with my fast cav, they move into range, so I'm going to keep peppering them. My Warlocks are in the back, and they're within range to Soul Blight the Temple Guard. So in the magic phase, I get a pretty good dice, and I get Enfeebling Foe off. He lets it through, and I roll a 6. So these guys are now Strength 2. I don't get any other magic off, but having them be Strength 2 means he goes from wounding me on 2s to 5s, which is really nice. And I also get a 5-up armor save now. So that's going to help a lot. In the shooting phase, one of the bolt throwers does 3 wounds on the Troglodon and takes it off, which is really nice. On this side, between these 2 units, I take off 4 more Saurus. And on this side, between another bolt thrower and these 2 units of Shades, I knock these guys down to 5. So over 4 turns, between the dangerous terrain tests, these guys haven't gotten into combat yet, and they're down to 5 guys. So my shooting has really, really worked on this flank. So I'm liking what that's doing. In the combat phase, yeah, as expected, I kill another 8 guys, and now he doesn't have a lot of attacks back on me. And he's also at Strength 2, so he only kills 2 guys, and he loses his Frenzy, which is really nice. But I'm down to 13 guys plus my BSB, and he's got 2 easy flank charges into both flanks. on his turn, and that has me worried. Very, very worried. So Lizardman turn 4, he gets the 2 easy flank charges in. His unit on the right, when they went through the magical pond, the Pond of Light, they get Speed of Light cast on them. So now they're Weapon Skill 10 and Initiative 10, which really sucks. But it happens. And then in his magic phase, he gets Frost Protection Bubble Off on all 3 units, which means I'm -1 to hit on every unit. But, you know, I'm not too worried because I get rerolls to hit all the time. So I should still be getting a fair amount of hit markers. And so we go to combat. So I put 7 attacks into the unit on the right, and I'm hitting on 5s with a reroll, and I do 0 wounds. I put 12 attacks into the front, and I'm hitting on 4s with a reroll and wounding on 4s, and I do 0 wounds. I put 6 attacks into the unit on the left, and I get 3 wounds through. So I'm striking first, so I see this happening, and I'm like, oh my god, I am completely screwed. I did 0 attacks, because my attacks here take attacks away from me, so I'm figured he's gonna completely eat me. But he whiffs his attacks as well and only kills 4 guys. He wins, but again, stubborn 10, rerollable, and I end up sticking. So that went really, really well for me. I think that could have gone a lot worse. I think we both got unlucky there, but it's in my favor. I think because, yeah, at least I'm still alive. And I get some easy charges into him on my next turn. Which is what happens. So I send these Shades with Grey Weapons into the rear of the Saurus, and the Fast Cav into the flank. And I send the 14 Archers into the rear of the other Saurus unit, and wouldn't you know it, I get Net of Amantok on my spell. So, but luckily I pass my strength test and I don't get completely screwed by that. I have a good magic phase, so I get Soul Blight off on the larger unit of Source on the left, so they're -1 strength and toughness, which is going to be nice. And I have dice left, and I put Mind Razor on the archers, or the crossbowmen, that is. And this might have been a mistake. I probably could have used those dice better to maybe reduce weapon skill and initiative. And the reason for that is he's got Frost Protection up, and he's weapon skill 10, initiative 10, which means I'm only hitting him on 6s with the crossbows, and I don't get rerolls. So that's, you know, very unlikely to actually do anything, but whatever. And then so after combat, the archers actually end up doing 2 wounds to the Saurus. I end up killing another one with my BSB. The Black Guard finish off the rest of the Temple Guard, and I kill a rank from the second Saurus unit. His Saurus kill 3 of my Shades with great weapons, and do no wounds to the archers and kill 2 of the Black Guard. So he ends up being on Insane Courage for all 3 of his units, and his slant automatically dies, and his 2 other units run away, but I catch him. So that ends up being the game. So yeah, so it ended up being a win for me, and I thought this was a really great game. I really enjoyed when you have an epic showdown in the center. I mean, there was tons of magic and tons of buffs, and I think it really could have gone either way before the last turn. Once I got all those small units into flank and rear charges, I think it went my way. But yeah, MVPs of this game were the Stubborn Black Guard. Them being Leadership 10 rerollable was really, really nice. I think if I had Executioners in their place, I don't think I would have done as much damage, and I wouldn't have been stubborn unless I gave my BSB the Stubborn Crown, but then he wouldn't have a 1-up rerollable armor save. So, really liked what the Blackguard can do. I thought this was a pretty good matchup for them. And I'm really liking the MSU list. I think it performed well. I wasn't able to get my Shades in behind his lines, because obviously he saw that coming and protected against it. But they're very maneuverable, and their shooting at Ballistic Skill 5 is actually really good. I didn't get any toughness reductions off in tandem with the shooting, but I think it works really well. The Warlocks are amazing. They're really, really nice. For 125 points, you have a level 4 with 5 wounds, 4 board save, and knows Soul Blight and Doom Bolt, which are both great spells, and spells that they can use all the time. Really, really great. I think the Medusa is a challenge to use. I don't know if I'm going to keep running her in the future. I borrowed the store's model, and I don't see myself buying the large kit just to buy the Medusa. So I think I used her wrong, but you really need to have, I think you need to have a static general nearby. If you know your leadership 10 rerollable with the general, the Medusa can do whatever she wants, but my general flies around on a Pegasus, and she's not always going to be near the Medusa, so she's a challenge to use, and she didn't perform great for me. She ended up being a 90-point roadblock that may have won me the game because I didn't get flank charged, and I was able to just allocate as many attacks on the Temple Guard as possible and whittle them down before I took the other 2 units in the flank. So I thought this was a great game. Hope you guys enjoyed it.